program contains scenes of violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the RWT podcast. Hello everybody, I am Emir Costello, and I'd like to welcome you to the next edition of the RWT podcast. I mean, we are fresh off the heels of what was a beautiful, beautiful pay-per-view. Backlash has just taken place. A new WWE Champion has been crowned. I'm not even going to go to commercial break before I bring in tonight's special guest. I got him on the line already. He is our Undertaker here on the page. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Paul Morales. What's going on, Paul?
What's good, man?
Dude, we just saw Backlash come to an end. I don't even care about the rest of the pay-per-view. I thought it was kind of... I mean, there was some good matches, but for the most part it was lackluster. But the way that it ended, man... Jinder Mahal, the Maharaja, is the champion, the WWE Champion. How do you feel about that?
I'm still in shock, man. I admit, I saw it and I'm just in awe. The fact that they gave it to him and his first major championship in WWE,
Yeah, man, good. I'm in shock too. Like, literally, my heart is beating out of my chest. Like, I can't remember. I think the last time that I felt so good about a moment in wrestling, like in WWE, probably had to be when Triple H came out and basically handed the title to Kevin Owens. Maybe a lot of people hated that, but for me, it was like, there's something special happening here. This is a moment that we'll look back on years from now and go, man, that was a great moment. You know what I mean?
I give it, that was probably one of the better ones. I still think AJ Styles Royal Rumble probably takes the cake because nobody, I think was expecting him to at least debut there.
Of course there's always rumors, and it's, wrestling fans, it's difficult to keep anything from them, and so we thought AJ would debut. But this past year's Royal Rumble, there was all kind of rumors about all the people who were going to supposedly debut or make an appearance, and literally there were no special guest appearances. So that goes to show you, no matter how much you think you know, you don't know, man, until it happens, But tonight, myself and a few others that thought that Jinder Mahal would pull out the win were correct. And did you see the look on the faces of the kids in the crowd, man?
No, and the adults too, man. They were all in shock. Kind of took me back to when the Undertaker lost his match against Brock Lesnar. Everybody was just like, "Oh, wait, what?"
Yeah, it was one of those moments, and I just think to myself, "Oh, is this because if these guys were on the RWT page, they would have guys like us to inform them on all the potential spoilers and what might actually happen, and then it wouldn't be so shocking when it happened." You know what I mean?
Well, no, I get that. Just the shock factor of it all. It's just Jinder. And I get it, and hey, all the credit to him, for putting in the work, to get his body, into the condition that it's in, and and work on his craft. But still, it's Jinder.
It is Jinder. Okay. So I think he's been working hard. Let's dissect this piece by piece. I want to kind of break it down what you just said. By the way, that wasn't a DX reference. Okay, let's start with his body. You're saying he's putting in work on his body. A lot of other people are saying he used steroids. What's your take on that?
Until you prove it, you can't say nothing about it. You can sit there and speculate all you want. Can't talk about it if they do the test, and obviously they've caught a few people who have done everything, so you can't say too much if he hasn't been caught.
Yeah, and that's that's my whole thing. Is like, it's not like we're dealing with a company who doesn't test anybody or has no idea, what their people are doing. I mean, how many times have we seen somebody suspended because of drug use that wasn't even, that wasn't even actually on drugs. So it's not like they're just gonna let Jinder Mahal of all people, slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, yeah, if he was doing that, somebody would know. I mean, for Christ's sake, they've gotten, Paige, Alberto Del Rio. That was something crazy within itself. But they get everybody. Everybody.
But we can go into detail and say, look at what Brock Lesnar failed in UFC. The reason why he left UFC. When his last fight in UFC. Then he said, they suspended him because I guess his test didn't come back until after UFC. We can blow this whole thing into oblivion probably, but facts are facts. You know what? If he hasn't tested up until now, in the time that he was on Raw, the few months or whatever that he was on Raw, and then now, you're not going to hear anything about it.
Yeah, I agree. And that Brock Lesnar thing was like, it was about the money. WWE's not going to suspend him because he didn't get caught in WWE. And if you had to think about the money with Jinder, I know WWE's trying to break into the market in India, and man, they're doing a hell of a job. But do you think that do you think Vince McMahon is that conniving that he would forego testing Jinder Mahal because the money that stands to be made by getting into that market in India is more important than outing a wrestler as using steroids?
That's a good question. You look at the market that they've already branded into in Japan. They've already brought over a lot of their prospects in Shinsuke, in Hideo Itami, and even Asuka, as far as that. And then, of course, they've taken AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson, from who were actually, a part of WWE at one point in time, and AJ, who was already, part of TNA at one point. They've already, tapped into their supply of, talent. You need to put a face there. Yeah, okay, put a face there. If they're going to try and, get into that market, and try and make the money out of it, hey, tap into the market, give them a champion, and, that they could look up to you, or, that is, part of their culture basically is from India. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, okay, and so
it wouldn't be too bad, no.
The Japan thing, the only person you didn't mention that I thought deserves an honorable mention is Lord Tensai. All right, moving on. So,
my God, I can't believe you went to that one.
I had to, man.
But I'll give you that one.
Thank you. Okay, so getting into the market in India, here's what I like about Jinder Mahal. They didn't do with Jinder what they've done with other wrestlers in the past, where it's like, if you have a guy like the Sheik, who's supposed to be from the Middle East, and he comes out and he trashes the crowd and talks about, Jinder Mahal is not out there saying terrible things about the crowd. He's saying to the crowd, well, you don't accept me because I look a certain way, and you judge me because you think you know things about me that are not true. So really, he's going out there, and even though he's a heel, he's not really saying anything. First of all, what he's saying is true, and second of all, he's not even attacking the crowd. He's just politely defending his position. But so,
let me tell you the interesting thing about the crowd tonight. You had the same thing like they did with John Cena. John Cena sucks. Let's go Cena sucks. And they were basically doing the same thing. Let's go Jinder sucks. Let's go Jinder sucks. So, you had people who were happy that he was going for a championship. I just honestly don't think a lot of them actually expected him to win it.
Right. And the reaction
So
was,
there may have been people who were there who were like, yeah, come on. And we're actually, yeah, but wait a second, what the hell just happened?
like, did he really just win the belt? Because, and here's the
Yeah,
reason
did
why.
he really just win the belt? Did he really just win
The
the top title,
WWE
not
Championship.
only in SmackDown, but in WWE?
It is. And so, and I'm glad we cleared that up. The Universal title, it might be on Raw, and that might be perceived as the A show, which is complete bullshit. But the WWE Championship has a lineage that goes back, probably before I was born, and that's what we're looking at. And so the reaction.
No, before I was born. We'll keep going back. I mean, you're talking about when it was WWF, Worldwide Wrestling Federation. I mean,
Exactly. The reaction in the crowd was similar to the reaction on Twitter. Okay, so there was guys on Twitter that were going, "Wait, I stopped watching WWE for 1 month. Who the hell is this guy that won the title?" And then some other people were like, "Oh, he was a jobber from 3MB and now he's a champion. I'm never gonna watch again." And it's like, who cares that he was a jobber? Everybody bitches and whines. That's like, oh, Randy Orton got he got the championship around his waist for the 13th time. This is complete bullshit. Give somebody else a chance. What about all these other people? And then they give somebody else a chance, and everybody bitches about that too. I got Jinder Mahal. When I said give somebody else a chance, but I didn't mean him. I meant the guy that I wanted to have the belt.
Then I'll go. Okay, then I will go to this one. Do you remember the night that Rhino and Heath Slater won the tag team championship?
Yes, I do. I was very irritated by that.
Okay. Do you remember the crowd kept saying, "You deserve it. You deserve it," and everybody kept telling that Heath Slater, he finally got a championship, and you deserve it.
I do remember that.
Why doesn't Jinder get the same credit?
So.
Look at when what's his face? Curtis Axel was Intercontinental Champion. Nobody said, okay, that you deserve it. You deserve it. Nobody gave him that. It's just because of who his father was, who was probably one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions ever.
Yeah, he was perfect, man.
Yeah, he was perfect.
I think it was mixed,
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So I don't think that everybody was mad. I mean, a lot of people are mad, but I do think that Jinder Mahal has a pretty good amount of support behind him, considering the fact that, because there were some people who were like, yeah, a month ago he was getting beat up by Enzo Amore. Oh yeah, fine, that's not disputable, but this is where we're at today. Who gives a fuck about a month ago? Do you understand what I'm saying? A month ago, or maybe a little bit more.
Well, look at how many times that Gallows and Anderson, wrestled the New Day, and during that record-setting time that they had the championships, look at how many times they faced them, and look at how many times they lost.
Yes.
And now then finally when they actually get the tag team championship, it's like, okay, you have it for how long?
Yeah, not too long, and it wasn't really significant. It didn't really seem to matter at that point.
Exactly. It doesn't even matter. They were exports from New Japan. They were supposed to be one of the better tag teams, and and I get it. Raw's idea of let me break a championship record.
So let's go back to when you talked. So initially, you talked about Jinder's body, and then the next thing you said was, he's worked hard to learn his craft. And here's what I'm going to say about Jinder.
Yeah, remember he had left WWE for a while, and
where did he go?
I believe I want to say back over to somewhere over in Europe. I want to say that, but I'm not really for certain.
I think he wrestles stiff, man. I mean, when he doesn't look very lucid out there. He looks like he looks very, very stiff. He doesn't, he doesn't have a lot of moves. I mean, I'm rooting for him. I am ecstatic that he's the champion, but I do think that he could stand to learn a few more moves and to loosen up a bit out there. What do you see when he's wrestling?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but you know what? You also have to take into consideration that there are times where Triple H is stiff. You know, there are times where John Cena is just, and I'm not just kind of throwing it out there because I know John Cena isn't exactly the greatest champion. I'm just trying to, you know, use him as an example. There are times where, you know, Randy Orton's stiff.
Yeah. Randy Orton.
And you know that Jinder is not really. Well, he's actually Canadian.
So Tony Kirkendall put that on the page, and I didn't have any idea. I mean, it's just. But here's what I think. Okay, fine. Maybe he was born in Canada, but I don't think he's like of Canadian descent. If you look at his beard, man, he looks like he's from the Middle East. I think maybe he was just born. Or I have to research it, but I saw that on the page, and I was like, oh yeah, this is hilarious because Tony was like, oh, we finally got our champion, our Indian champion, who's actually Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't sound like he's from the Middle East either. When you listen to him talk, you know, he doesn't at all have that accent or that.
I'm still waiting for the A.
I know, right?
I'm Indian A.
And, you know, this wouldn't be the first time. I mean, look at Rusev. Rusev is not from Russia. Kofi Kingston is obviously not Jamaican. So.
No. Actually, he is of Jamaican descent, though.
But they said he's from Ghana, West Africa.
Oh well, no, but I know he's of Jamaican descent. He has to be from of Jamaican descent.
I mean, as far as like he was actually doing like the accent and blah blah blah, and then once he like joined the New Day, he just sounds like every other, you know, like regular American guy or whatever. And look at Lana too, dude. The first time I heard Lana,
but she's an American. I mean, she's from what? Nashville.
That's what I'm saying. But then when you listen to her speak, you know, speaking in Russian supposedly and doing the Russian accent for all that time. And it wasn't until I went on her Instagram page, like long after she had already been in the WWE, I saw an Instagram posting from her and she wasn't doing the accent. And I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening here? I was so confused to look at her mouth and hear her speak English with an American accent. I was completely caught off guard by that.
Okay, here's what I found out. He left WWE and went to the Reality of Wrestling, ROW.
ROW. That's
he left there. And he also wrestled.
ROW is Booker T's company, right?
Huh?
ROW, that's Booker T's company.
I believe so.
Out there in Houston, Texas.
I believe so. That is his company, huh?
Yeah, so I know he's got to feel good about that.
It also says that he also wrestled for the Great Khali's wrestling promotion, Continental Wrestling Entertainment, in India.
Oh, okay, perfect.
See, so in other words, he bounced around once he left WWE. In other words, he won a tag team championship away from WWE. He won another world title somewhere else. I mean, in other words, I'm pretty sure over the time he's learned a lot, you know, and as a lot of them leave companies, and as you know how they say, if you go from the circuit, and I mean, I saw an interview with Shelton Benjamin, and he was talking about going over to Japan and how it's completely different from, you know, being in WWE and even any other indie promotion that's in America, and you go over to Japan, even New Japan, that the wrestling is different. That and we see it when we watch, you know, New Japan, you know, online, you know, and their pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
How different it is from there to here.
And I love it, man. I you know, after I started watching New Japan, it was difficult for me to go back to watching WWE, honest.
And you know what, and same here, you know, and
I think the thing I liked about New Japan, it was like, every match that's on the card feels like a main event match. They all work so hard, even if it doesn't have to be a title or anything on the line, but they wrestle every show like every show is WrestleMania. That's what I like about those guys, you know.
Yeah.
You know the moment that I knew Jinder Mahal was gonna win the title, bro. When you first see the Singh brothers, when they first popped out from underneath the ring or whatever to help him win, was it the number one contenders match that he won? And that that's when they first came out, right?
Yeah. It was the 6-pack challenge.
Right. Okay. So here's the thing about
what
that.
they called it.
The moment you saw the Singh brothers, formerly known as the Bollywood Boys, come out to help him, you had to know he was going to win the belt, because that is the purest form of a heel champion. Because you look at Legacy, Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase Jr., and Cody Rhodes. You look at Edge when he had Zack Ryder and what's the other guy's name? I always forget his name. The guy with all the facts or whatever, who just came back.
Oh man, right now I'm freaking losing it.
Kurt Hawkins. Okay.
Yeah, that's the guy's name.
You even have Vince McMahon and the Stooges. Every time there's a good heel, he always has two guys that have his back, and that's how you keep the belt on him. He wins the belt because the two guys interfere, and then he goes on a lengthy run. Oh, and let's not forget Seth Rollins and J&J Security. Oh, and we're not going to forget J&J Security. So,
no.
So that's how you keep the belt on a heel. This is how you're gonna keep the belt on Jinder. If the crowd responds and the ratings stay pretty good, the belt will stay on Jinder. He's not even gonna have to work that hard, because as long as the Singh brothers are allowed to be ringside, they can always interfere, and it could always be like, damn, he would have had that match, except for these guys got involved again and cost him his opportunity. And I was like, man, this is perfect, dude.
Yeah, I could tell you what would be the interesting thing is that if he keeps it all the way to SummerSlam.
That would be interesting. So one of the things I also saw on the page today is Tony and Daniel were talking, and one of them was suggesting that Jinder would win tonight, and then he would defend the title at the next pay-per-view. Not even against Orton, but against Rusev. What do you think of that?
Well, because Rusev actually told, I think, in all honesty, I think Orton's gonna do his rematch clause. I think it'll probably happen either not next week, the week after. It could be the possibility that, when I think he's coming back next week, right? Rusev, I believe he's coming back this Tuesday.
Yeah, they thought he was going to come back last week, and then nobody knows why he didn't show up. So hopefully this coming Tuesday.
But I know he's supposed to come back. I know he's supposed to confront Shane, and he's gonna get his title shot. At whatever the next pay-per-view is for SmackDown.
So,
but that's what I'm thinking, and and even if it happens and Rusev does get it, that'll be an interesting match. It could be a triple threat match.
Yeah, a triple threat I get, but Jinder versus Rusev, I don't get that at all. And also, I really want to see Jinder get more than a month. From what I read, they were like, let's experiment with this for a month. Let's see if the ratings are good and if this goes somewhere. But if it starts to look bad, we're going to take the belt back off him. And it's like, well, you just did that. You did that with Bray Wyatt. He won the belt finally. There was no substance. It's like they spend all this time building a guy up, and then once they put the belt on him, they go, well, he doesn't even need to be a part of the show at this point. And all of a sudden, you forget about the character. And then once the belt gets back off of Bray Wyatt, he's one of the biggest parts of Raw all over again. But when he had the belt, it's like they didn't even care about him.
You know what? We can talk about that one forever too. I mean, I don't like it. I don't even like the way they ran with it. The fact that they gave it to him, and he won it for what, 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
If that, and then all of a sudden, then he loses it at WrestleMania, and then that's it.
Okay, how about this? Okay, since the brand split and Raw came out with the Universal title, there was Finn Balor who held it for 24 hours, and then there was Kevin Owens who held it for no less than forever. Goldberg held it for a month, and then Brock got it. So basically, it really hasn't changed hands too often. And then you look at SmackDown, and there's been Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, John Cena, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Jinder Mahal. I mean, SmackDown is the land of opportunity, man. Would you agree?
Of course, that's exactly what the. And I honestly do think that Triple H is actually running it, and he's running it a hell of a lot better than Vince would.
So him and Shane don't have a history of getting along, but you believe that Shane is just kind of like this public figure, but in the background, Triple H is still pulling the strings?
I still think, Shane's still invested in the company. Even though he went away, he's still invested in the company. And that whole storyline about him not losing his place in line and the deal that he made with Vince, it allowed him to go off and do his own little venture, to make his own money, to show, not only his dad but his family that, guess what, I can do this on my own. And he did. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I heard that Shane McMahon literally only came back because The Undertaker asked him to come back, not even because Vince wanted him to.
And if that's the case, then guess what? He's still there. You can't make up the crowd reaction that night in Detroit. You could not make up that reaction of happening.
I agree. In fact, if they could,
as soon as his music hit, you knew right that place literally exploded.
The only thing that was missing was good old JR saying, "Oh, business is about to pick up."
Yep. I'll go back. You know what? That takes me back to the pay-per-view, the takeover. Why is he only doing one? Why is that man only doing one match?
So I was going to ask you a JR question, which is this: what do you make of the fact that JR is doing? He did Takeover, yet next month in July, on July 1st, so less than 2 months from now, he's the announcer when New Japan has their G1 special in the United States, right here in Long Beach, California. No pop? Oh, okay.
Are you going?
I still haven't decided. I tried to get the tickets like straight from the box office, Ticketmaster, blah blah blah, and they didn't have any 2 seats together. By the time I got on there, it was only single seats, and I didn't want to buy tickets because they hadn't released the rosters yet. And I'm like, I just want to go to see Kenny Omega versus Okada, and if I don't know what day that is, I'm not going to buy tickets the wrong day because it's 2 days. But now, it's been announced that they're wrestling on July 1st, and so now maybe I'll have to buy some super marked up tickets from one of those bullshit sites, but I'll probably go. But I'm like, hey, so how is JR an announcer for WWE and he's going to work in New Japan? How is that happening?
The same way as they're allowing Morrow to, still do boxing and UFC. There has to be something in the clause, and it's JR. You're going to give him the leeway to do whatever the hell he wants. And I don't want to say that it just happened to be that he lost his wife, that all this kind of came, but we don't know the ins and outs of his contract with WWE, so we can't really say that he isn't obligated to just them. I mean, he still does the promotion for what culture? He still does some of the ones for them too.
I just thought because if you go back to one of Ryback's complaints, one of his complaints was that he had an opportunity to do a gig outside of WWE just to be on the cover of a magazine, which I don't even see. It was like something like Muscle and Fitness. It was some magazine that wanted to highlight Ryback's physique. You do a do a cover story and blah blah blah. And WWE told him no, and he didn't understand. And you know what? I don't understand. Like some guys, mostly the veterans, it seems, get to come back and make a contract where they can do what they want. And if you're Brock Lesnar, you can wear that stupid Jimmy John sign on your shorts, and it's all good. But then like these guys who are just like the regular everyday guys, they're like, no, you're still our slaves. Right back, you can't go be on the cover of a fitness magazine just because we said no. Not even because of a good reason. Like, what the hell is that about?
I'm telling you, it's all the writing that's inside the contract. You can't. As much as Vince wants to change so many of the guys' names, who come into the promotion from other promotions, he didn't change Shinsuke's because you can't. I mean, he could, but Shinsuke already owns the right to his own name. Same thing with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. As much as they want to try and change all these guys' names, their name is who they are. People know who AJ Styles is. People know who, I mean, Kevin Owens should still be Kevin Steen, Yeah. I know that, you know that.
And Apollo Crews, is that his name? Apollo Crews should still be Uhaa Nation.
Yeah, right.
Like that's my big question is like, it seems like they go on a case by case basis. Some of these guys are allowed to keep their names and their gimmicks, and other people, they come in and they change everything about them, and it's just like what's his name, Cassius Ohno? Like, what the hell? How do they even decide?
Yeah, what was his name? What was his name in the other promotion in ROH?
Was it Chris Hero?
Yeah, that's what it was.
And he comes over here and he's Cassius. I mean, what a terrible name! Come on.
He had that name before he left here. So it's not like it's really changed. I mean, yeah, they changed his name, but I mean, he was Cassius before he left WWE for ROH.
I know, but it's just such a stupid name. You couldn't come up with something better.
Come on, I mean, you think of Cassius, you think of Clay. I mean, it's not like it's rocket science.
All right, I got two questions for you, but here's the second to last question. Was there any part of you that believed that the Fashion Police were going to win those tag titles tonight, and if they had won, would you have been okay with that?
I don't think they would have won. I think that same thing with Jinder. I didn't think he was going to win. He won. Didn't think he was going to. But as comical as they were, and I liked it, and I think it was very, very entertaining, I don't think they would have fucking won the damn match. And if they would have, yeah, I probably would have fucking had broke a fucking cornea, listening to it. Or watching it.
like what the fuck? I was, you know what? Here's the thing. If they would have won, because so Backlash is replaying in the background right now, and it's on that match, which is what got me talking about it. And I don't know if they would have won, because I didn't want Heath Slater and Rhino to win, but fuck it. Everybody deserves an opportunity and blah blah blah. And if these guys would have won, I would have taken that stance where I didn't take it before with Heath Slater and Rhino. I'd have been like, well,
come on, man. You back over there doing the fandango fucking dance, with your hands up in the air.
Maybe a little bit, but it's good exercise. It's good form to do that dance. Give me one final note on Jinder. Okay, so Jinder Mahal is the new WWE Champion, and they're like, the whole landscape has changed. Just help me understand. Jinder's got the belt. By the way, Jinder has the belt before Sami Zayn has ever even been crowned, a heavyweight champion in WWE, and maybe before a lot of other notable guys. Where do they go from here?
Well, look at he got it. They gave you know what? I'm not even going to go there. But you know what? The fact that they gave it to him before they gave anything to Sami Zayn, and I could I can go on and on with the fact that the Ascension haven't won a tag team championship. You know, and they were supposed to be this dominant team in NXT. Neville, who was a champion there too, still hasn't won one.
He's holding down that cruiserweight division.
He has a cruiserweight championship, but you know, that's still kind of like, that's like saying you won a shit kicking contest in, in high school.
But the problem is the only contest he's allowed to be in is shit kicking contest, because now that he's been labeled a cruiserweight, they're never going to let him do anything besides that.
And I think that's where their fault is at, is the fact that they're holding that championship specifically just to Raw, and they're giving it its own show where there's nothing else but that one championship on that one 1 hour show. You have a 1 hour show for NXT. NXT has 3 championships, 1 for a woman, 2 for men. You do the math on that one.
You know, I never thought about it like that. You're a smart guy, man. You're right. It just, yeah. And the whole thing, too, about that show, the wrestling is fantastic. But if you look at the roster for the CWC versus the amount of people that they actually signed to be in the Cruiserweight division, you got the same 5 guys doing every... It's not much of a show. We just saw these 5 guys on Raw, and it's the same 5 guys on the show. It's just boring. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you know what? It started off being you know, this big thing, and you know, you had this cruiserweight tournament, and you couldn't even lock in the guys that were in the tournament to be on your show because you only had one championship, and you only wanted 10 guys on the show in the division because you didn't want to expand it so much. You didn't want to put too many guys in the division because you didn't want to flood it.
And it's like now,
and that's what they didn't want to do. And you know, the worst one that they lost, I mean, probably the best cruiserweight they lost was Zack Sabre Jr.
Dude, I mean, that's another one of those things where it's like, who's deciding who stays and who goes? I mean, and I know Kota Ibushi wouldn't sign, he refused to, but just some of those guys that made the Cruiserweight Classic special are not even being featured, and it's like, what's going on?
Exactly. I mean, I think, was it Rich Swann who was the one that's injured?
No, well, yeah, he got injured a little bit, but Cedric Alexander, we haven't seen him come back.
Cedric Alexander. And you have all these great guys, and if you're going to limit them to doing only certain moves, and they can't expand past, you know, that limit. I mean, that you didn't have a limit in the Cruiserweight Classic. You didn't really have one, and these guys were laying it out. I mean, I could watch that thing over and over again for as exciting as it was. But you don't get that now. You don't get that in 205 Live. You don't even get that on Raw or a pay-per-view for those matches because they're limited.
Yeah, man, you're right. It's just, and so when you go to the show live, because I've been a few times recently, it's really funny to watch how they're trying to switch. Like when Neville's walking out and the camera's up in his face, the guys are still putting the ring together. You can't see that on TV, obviously, but like when you're there live, Neville's walking down the ramp. They don't even have the ropes up yet. He's trying to walk as slow as possible. It's ridiculous. Like, okay, we get it. It's a cruiserweight match. Why does everything have to be switched around just for this one match? And then if you're going to do it, then fine. Have both the cruiserweight matches back to back. But you got the ring crew out there switching the ring every 5 seconds. And, you know, they're not making any more money for that. I mean, how pissed are they?
exactly. I feel sorry for the people who are actually there to actually have the ropes changed, and that makes no sense. It really makes no damn sense for them to change the ropes. I mean, it's different if 205 is either before, whether they're going to change it to before or after SmackDown, or I mean that's already after SmackDown. But I mean, if they change it to before SmackDown, you could do it. Have the last match, before the show actually starts, and tape it, show it after SmackDown, whatever. But at least those ropes could stay, can change. Why are you trying to change them in the middle of a show of Raw? Why?
And multiple times. It's weird, man. So tell me real quick, Jinder Mahal, he's the champion. What do you expect out of his title run?
I'm hoping he at least gets to SummerSlam. I'm hoping if anything, they give him a good run. If he can get past SummerSlam, I think I would be okay with that.
Well,
I like it to be longer than Finn Balor's 24 hours. Which it'll be 24 hours, because Orton can't reinvoke his clause till Tuesday. So
you just took my mind.
Hours.
Remember, even as a kid, you have no idea how upset I was when Kane won that title from Stone Cold Steve Austin, that first blood match where they had that first Hell in a Cell earlier in the night, and then the next night on Raw, Stone Cold won the belt right back, and I'm like, really? That's how you guys are gonna do Kane?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I have to wonder why he's running for mayor.
Exactly. I have a personal favor to ask you.
No, I ain't gonna do it.
Hey, come on, man. I need you on this one.
I'm just kidding, man. You know what's up.
All right, look, I finished probably 3 weeks ago, I finished my bachelor's program, yay to me, and I'm getting ready to start my master's program. But once I start my master's program, I'm going to have class 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays from like 5:30 to 10. Point being, it's going to take away my ability to watch SmackDown. And you know what would make that easier, not being able to watch SmackDown? If I could go on the RWT page and read the SmackDown Teardown like I used to.
Oh my goodness, you trying to get me to go back to doing that?
The Raw reboot and the SmackDown Teardown. There's a lot of new people on the page who never knew that even existed.
Man, no, most people didn't know I was even there, man. And they were like, who the hell is this son of a bitch?
Who's this guy? Just consider it. Just think about it. For all of us who won't be able to watch the show, if we could read your reviews just to get an idea of what happened, it'd be great. Mostly for me, though. I'm just talking for myself, really. But
you know what? Hey, you know what? Just for you, homie, I will do it.
Thank you, Paul Morales. I appreciate you joining me on this episode of the RWT podcast, man. And this is the second time we've had you on. Both times were fantastic, and I look forward to speaking with you again, brother. Thank you so much.
We will do this again.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man, brother. Take it easy.
Well, there you have it, guys. I was so pumped up from that Jinder Mahal win at WWE Backlash that I just had to jump right on the microphone with Mr. Paul Morales and get the podcast recorded a little early this week. I know I normally put this out on Thursdays is the day. I think I'll put it out on Tuesday in time for everybody to take a quick listen before SmackDown comes on Tuesday night. And I want to thank you all for listening in and supporting the show. We're going to have some more good guests coming up on future shows, but I think it's appropriate that I end this podcast playing the music of the newly crowned WWE Champion. So thank you for listening to the RWT podcast, and I will catch you down the road.